Coach Dorsey, Mookie Hawkins, World Sports 1080. Good win yesterday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Now, what made Josh ineffective in that first quarter?
I think, just the flow of the game, kind of how it was going. They're a good defense, and sometimes that stuff happens where it's, you're just not clicking on all cylinders to start a game, but he was able to settle down and really kind of get things going as the game went on, which is what what really good players do. You're not going to be perfect on every play, and he understands that. And it's good to have a guy that doesn't affect. He'll keep firing, he'll keep playing, he'll keep keep us in games, even though he might not be perfect to start the game.
No doubt, Coach. And when teams do get book on you, though, how do you adjust to stay consistent as an explosive offense?
I think we can be explosive in a lot of different ways, and I think you saw that, whether it's the run game, the pass game, the some gadgets, whatever it might be. So I feel like explosiveness just comes from execution. If you execute, then you have a chance to be explosive, no matter what what the play call is, and I think that's what it comes down to more often than not.
Coach, you got some good balance, 33 runs to 27 passes, Singletary 5 yards a carry, Cook career high 8 yards a carry. Will it be more emphasis towards the run the ball to balance out the offense?
At the end of the day, I think what our philosophy has always been here since I've been here is we're going to do whatever it takes to win a football game, that week. And that's the only thing that matters. It's you focus on this day every day, you focus on this week every week, and that's all you can control. You can't control last week, you can't predict next week. So, that's our mentality. We're gonna focus on, hey, whatever we got to do this week to win a football game, whether it's run to pass, pass to run, personnel groups, whatever it might be. I think that's what makes us difficult to defend at times, is the fact we can be multiple and we can attack in different ways.
Happy Thanksgiving, Coach. Good luck Thursday.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate it.
Hey, Ken, can you explain generally kind of the day-by-day schedule of how you take 6 days of game planning and jam it into 3 for a Thursday game week?
Yeah, it's a whirlwind, so honestly, right now you're chopping at the bit to get back to work. But no, I'm messing with you guys. But no, it's it is. But you literally, you get on the bus, you start watching tape for the next week, because as a play caller, and then it's good because I got a great staff, and a lot of those guys were ahead of the game, starting on Friday, Thursday of last week, to get ready, knowing it was a short week. So we had a lot of prep ready to go. We kind of hit the ground running. And then for me, it's getting started really right after the game. So on the bus, on the plane ride home and all that stuff, really get rolling on stuff. And then once I got back, just kind of more stuff and start putting it together and, just do it that way. And you're just cramming it all in a tight spot. So, it's fun. It's a whirlwind. You get to catch your breath when it's early. I'm not there yet in terms of catching the breath, but it really is. And honestly, a lot of it's just, okay, what can your guys handle? What can they, what do you feel comfortable about them running? And at times it's going to be less about maybe attacking a defense and more about, hey, we feel like our guys are going to be good at this no matter what looks they see. So I think that's part of it. It's that balance of having game plan specific stuff and stuff that it's just like, hey, call, run it, and let's go.
You talk a little bit about getting to work early on Friday, Saturday in this situation. With the Friday, Saturday you just had, where no one was at the facility, some guys were out of power, did that kind of put you a little further behind for a Thursday game?
Honestly, what helps you there a lot is the experience from the COVID year, to be honest with you. The working from home and bringing that stuff home and creating cut-ups at home and all that. So a lot of guys were able to take their work home and be able to start from there and get going and really not miss too much and really get ahead, because, we were limited in our meeting time with the players. So you could spend that time then a little bit more on the next week. So, it hurt from the collaborative standpoint a little bit, but it helped guys, I think, individually to get a head start. For me, I wasn't, it wasn't something I didn't want to look ahead on a Friday to the next opponent. I really wanted to hone in on that week and then get started once the game was over.
Awesome. I kind of appreciate taking us through that.
Yeah,
Man.
no
Good
problem.
stuff.
No
Thanks.
problem.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken, John Worrell, AP.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good. How beneficial, or I'm not saying you had any doubts with the running game, but how important was it to see the running game respond the way it did, especially with the passing attack struggling in the first half, and to see the ground game kind of like pick everybody up?
No, I think it's great. Anytime you could establish the run and be effective there, I think it's important. I think it's great. And you know, we always try to make sure we're attacking a defense in multiple ways. And I think that's important. You know, I mean, yeah, there might be games we throw it more or whatever, but you know, I think we always want to mix the run game in. And then it's the same thing for heavy run game. Then you want to mix the pass in, you know. And so it's always a balancing act. It's always a dance kind of trying to, you know, make sure you're keeping a defense off balance, whatever that combination might be. So it's good to see that. It's great to see those guys up front taking pride in it, getting movement, creating those lanes for the runners, and guys hitting the hole hard, making a guy miss. A lot of times, you know, you can't block everybody a lot of times. So there's going to be times where you got to make somebody miss in a hole, and our guys were able to do that. And I thought they did a great job, and a ton of credit to those guys up front, those five, you know, those linemen up front and the tight ends and Reggie at the fullback. I mean, all those guys I thought did a great job of battling, and in circumstances where, you know, because of the nature of the week, you can't always get all the reps.
And because am I drawing maybe too much of a parallel, or maybe there's not even a parallel, but give me a moment on this. But it seemed things sparked last year after halftime in the Tampa game, where the ground game kind of got traction. Maybe it's too much to say or too early to say at this point, but could this be have somewhat of a similar effect, knowing that you game plan differently each time?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, you never really know, because every year is so different, you know. And it's funny how that game, it was a lot of RPO stuff, and it was a lot of gives on RPOs that created lanes and stuff like that. And this game was a little bit less of that. And so, you know, I think it's always good to have that weapon. It's always good to have the ability to be physical up front and let the guys come off the ball and do those types of things. So, you know, I think it's a great question. It's just, you never know kind of how years unfold, because every year is so different.
And the last thing, is it just mere coincidence that Devin's nickname is Motor and he did what he did in Motor City?
I don't know, but I love Motor. I think he's been doing it all year for us. You know, he's been a guy so consistent week in, week out, with running the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield, protecting for us. You know, so he's been there just consistently doing his job effectively each and every week. And it's great to see you know, James kind of stepping in and continue to develop and continue as he gets more touches, getting comfortable and being explosive as he is. And then mixing Hines in as well in there. And it's just a great group of guys that I think can be a dangerous kind of trio back there for us.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah.
Ken, you mentioned Naheem there. Where's he at in terms of working him into the offense? I know, obviously, you know, coming off of a week where James and Devin did a really nice job in the run game. But I'm just curious, like, we've been talking about him kind of getting up to speed on this. Where is he in your eyes, and how much more is available to him in this offense here going into, I think it's his third or fourth game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really crucial kind of balancing act a little bit, because you don't want to disrupt things that have been effective for you. You don't want to, you know, step outside of you know, things that you do well, but at the same time, you've got this great weapon for you that you want to be able to take advantage of as well. So, you know, we're balancing that between not only him, but James and Motor and all those guys, and then the weapons that we got in the receivers room as well as the tight end room. So it's a constant balancing act between, making sure you don't go too far off the rails in one direction or the other. And you're taking advantage of your personnel and you're being able to attack a defense in multiple different ways. And that's really what we're trying to do. We don't want to get lopsided. We want to be able to take advantage of Nyheim as much as possible without losing sight of the other guys within the offense.
There's been, fair or not, there's been a lot of, I don't know what the right word is, but disappointment maybe with Isaiah McKenzie's season. I think a lot of people, saw those 2 games that he had, 1 and 20, and then last year when he came in and started, and we're kind of expecting like that more, this season. What's been the struggles for him to maybe find any consistency or maybe some of those big splashy performances?
I mean, I think what people I think would help people understand is like, just the course of the season, things are ebb and flow, and guys have big games at times, and then another guy's gonna have a big game here. Isaiah's been doing everything that we ask him to do. Isaiah works his tail off. Isaiah runs 100% on every single route. Whether it's clearing it out for his buddy, whether it's he's the primary route, and just that's the way things go at times where at times he might be the primary guy, but they take it away and we work through the progression. We don't want to force anything to anybody. We want to make sure our quarterbacks are trusting their eyes, trusting what they see, trusting their progression, and guys in the offense trust that things will come to them at the more that we continue to do that. So I think Isaiah has done everything that we've asked of him, and has done it, without question, 1,000 miles an hour and to the best visibility. And I'm really, I love him and love everything he's done for us. And we'll just continue to have him as a weapon for us, and he'll continue to have those opportunities. And at the end of the day, we're just going to be dictated off of, us trusting our reads and trying to put guys in the right spots and things that they do well to make plays.
Great insight on that, Ken. And I don't want to monopolize too much time, but I did have one more on Josh. Sean alluded to it earlier today. Like there's this kind of expectation of him to be like this Superman all the time. And when you go through a quarter or two where, it doesn't look the same as it's looked at the highest moments, and maybe there's some inaccurate throws, there's a little bit of an overreaction. From your perspective, what was he dealing with in the first half? Especially like there was a string, I think, of 4 or 5 incompletions where he's just missing guys. How much of that is to do with the elbow? Maybe if there's anything he's wearing underneath that sleeve, or from your perspective, what kind of led into that?
I think 2 things mainly. Number one, the NFL's hard. I mean, it's these defenses are getting better and faster, and they're good on the other side of the ball. So those things are going to happen, in the course of a game, in the course of a season. It's just natural in the NFL. Now, do we want to limit that as much as possible? Heck yeah. We want to learn from mistakes and make sure that we don't repeat them. So I think that's the number one thing. And then the number 2 thing is offensive football is 11 guys, operating together, to achieve one goal. And that's the success of that play, so all it takes is one mistake. All it takes is one thing, and that can affect an entire play. So I think there's a combination of those things, and then too, it's human nature. There's not a quarterback out there who's going to be perfect. You're going to miss throws. Those things will happen. We're going to look at it from a technique standpoint, to a decision-making standpoint, to an execution standpoint. Watch it, learn from it, and try to correct those things as much as possible. So I think that's the biggest thing with Josh is look, just understanding at the end of the day, this league, nothing's going to be given to you. Nothing's going to be, relatively easy per se. It's like, you got to go out, you got to earn every inch that you get on a play. So, that's just the nature of ball. That's the nature of the NFL, where it's at right now.
Thanks so much, Ken. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you too.
Hey Ken, did you see, I know you're in the booth up top for games, but did you see the interaction between Sean and Steph, before halftime where Sean, it was a good interaction where Sean was kind of consoling Steph, who seemed a little frustrated. Did you see that at all?
I did not, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
just to follow up, it was kind of a moment of leadership between Sean and Steph, but for Steph when he's maybe, I don't know, expecting to see more from the offense, but also has that leadership part of him. How much does that just help having Steph on the field in those moments where the offense might not be in rhythm, but he's able to kind of take a step back, and help the offense in other ways?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with Steph, where I think from when he first got here to now, is just the leadership from a vocal standpoint has really been has really grown. As somebody who gets guys going, and is a motivator, is a truly like a spark for us, and truly like kind of the fire that the offense kind of burns around. I mean, he's just that type of personality, that type of guy. And he's as competitive as anybody out there. So I think those things are things that as an offense you feed off of. And the reason why that we were able to kind of, we started off slow but turn things around because we've got guys like him, guys that are extremely competitive, extremely prideful, and at the same time they don't blink when things aren't perfect, and they just keep pounding, they keep chipping away, and they keep battling. And if you do that, you're always going to give yourself a chance. And again, it might not be perfect as things continue to go, but you're always going to give yourself a chance if you keep battling, you keep chipping away, and you keep fighting. And I think Steph embodies that in our offense.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Ken, you touched on some already, just how last week was kind of chaotic from a game plan prepping standpoint with, all the different scheduling and stuff. I was wondering, when Josh was limited last week and he was coming off of the week before, not getting to practice so much, does that have a bigger effect when also like the team can't practice together, fully on Wednesday or Friday? Like, was that harder to navigate when it was multiple things going on at once?
I think at the end of the day, it's a management type thing. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do you feel comfortable calling something that guys maybe didn't get a rep at? Or you can just kind of get a walkthrough rep or something like that, on the day we're back together before we left, So there were some things in that there that, hey, we felt good about, but we didn't get the rep on, or we didn't get a look at it. We're like, okay, well, we've got other stuff. Let's run the other stuff, So I think that's really kind of the question you ask yourself when you kind of get into those kind of crazy type weeks of, hey, do I feel comfortable, running this play, whether it's, hey, Josh didn't get a rep at it or us as an offense didn't get a rep at it. As much as I like it, it might not be the best interest of the offense.
When you have a double whammy like that, in that case last week, the weather and Josh's arm, and then this week, I don't know exactly where he's at, but it's a short week. What can you take from last week to inform this week of, hey, we might not get all these reps, but here's how we'll proceed accordingly? Yeah,
I think at the end of the day, it's again, having a feel for your guys and making sure, hey, are we comfortable with this concept, or are we comfortable with this scheme? And is it something that, our guys feel really good about and can go out and operate, even if you don't get a rep at in practice, or even potentially a walkthrough. Those are questions you just got to ask yourself before calling, a play on, or having a play on your play sheet that you might actually call. I don't want any plays on my play sheet that are like, I don't think this one's going to work. So you want things on there that as a play caller, you feel extremely comfortable about, no matter what you call. Your guys are going to go out and execute it. And I think that's the most important thing when you're putting a plan together. And that's something that I've felt all year of, I trust those guys out there, those 11 guys out there. I trust them implicitly that no matter what I call, they're going to make it right, either with a route winning one-on-one, whether it's the execution by the receivers, up front by the line, quarterback making good decision, all those different things, So if there's any doubt of that, then we just take that play out.
Even with that very deep trust. What has it just been like personally this last stretch for you of, you have the week where Josh isn't able to practice some days at all. And then you have last week, like that's just kind of a lot at once. How has it been?
It's been good. I mean, it's funny because, you go through these things and you resort back to some of your experiences in the past. We kind of we're in a similar situation a little bit in Carolina where we had to manage, some issues there with, arm issues and stuff like that in the past. So, that there are those experiences, but then there's also, things that you're just learning on the fly, and all you can do is just sit down and talk as a group and figure out what you feel like is the best way to move forward, and don't look back. And that's the way you go if everybody's on the same page and there's a consensus, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's a team sport, and we're the Buffalo Bills. We're, not the Buffalo individuals, so it's everything's going to be, a communication, a collaborative kind of, hey, let's make sure we're going in a direction that we feel comfortable with.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's all today. Thanks, Ken.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.